Hey, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this part of the world. Welcome to Fulfillionaire's File, the show where fulfillment meets financial empowerment, leadership, and legacy. I'm Victoria Ferrer, personal power and public presence coach, and a financial educator helping entrepreneurs and executives strengthen their financial understanding while stepping into visibility with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Today's conversation sits at the fascinating intersection of neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and business growth. He is the founder, CEO behind multiple ventures focused on applying neuroscience to business, including platforms that explore how the human mind drives performance and decision making. He's now leading a bold movement to transform how entrepreneurs market by understanding how the human brain actually makes decisions. Oh, that's so interesting. And he has spent years studying brain function, learning, stress reduction, and trauma recovery. We all need that. His work now blends brain science, marketing, technology, and AI to help people and organizations perform at their best. Please welcome Keith Engelhardt. Keith, thank you for joining us. I'm excited to dive into this.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, take us back to the moment when you first realized traditional marketing wasn't enough anymore. Was there a specific client failure or breakthrough that made you think, hmm, we need to understand the human brain if we want better results?
Well, it was a bit of a serendipitous path. I've always
Mhm.
been curious of how things work, and that includes the human brain. My family shares stories of myself and my twin brother taking apart household appliances, the iron or whatever, to see how it worked. I wasn't always well received, but that tenacious curiosity and creativity has been there, seated in childhood and throughout my life and career. Around I think in 1983, 1984, that time frame, I got introduced. Um, I've always had a passion for learning, so I got introduced to different, um, more holistic learning approaches, accelerated learning, whole brain learning, and so
Mhm.
forth, and studied quite a bit on it. Even taught programs in adult ed classes in the area that I am in Dayton, Ohio. Um, and that just kind of led to interest in neuroscience as that discipline um, popped up and evolved. Um, and since we all persuade in some capacity, we all market in some capacity, even if I'm trying to convince my significant other what restaurant we should go to on date night.
Mhm.
It involves persuasion. So how
Yes.
do we do that more effectively? And there was a budding science that popped up along the journey, labeled neuromarketing, which blends neuroscience, the understanding of how to capture attention, how to keep attention, how to persuade, and how to market more effectively. So it was just a natural fit. And my entire career has involved various technologies that I won't bore your audience with because it's been a long and winding and rewarding path. Um, uh, but the last 27 plus years of it was in software development, web development for major brands. One of the companies I worked for were in the top five in their field. So I was exposed to some very talented people that knew how to persuade and market more effectively. So everything that I've kind of learned along that amazing and rewarding journey has kind of culminated in coming up with the concept of using technology to allow people to create neuromarketing content without having to know all the nuts and bolts behind it. They don't have to have a marketing PhD or a
Yeah,
neuroscience PhD. So
right.
it was I think June of 2024 that I started exploring artificial intelligence since it was kind of becoming more um, known.
Mm-hmm.
And by September of that year, I had completed a platform of over 128 tools that
Wow.
allow people to use all the neuromarketing techniques, create content very efficiently and at low cost, and that is much more effective and without having to know all the details of AI or
Mhm.
the neuromarketing principles. So,
Wow, that's amazing. And with over 4 decades in technology, you've watched countless trends rise and fall. And
yeah, I can date
yeah.
myself with the first web browser. You couldn't even put images in the pages. It was just text only and hyperlinks, but it was pretty high tech for its era,
Mm-hmm.
and been along the whole journey of that evolution to even having video conferencing tools that we can communicate all over the planet. So um, it's been quite a ride. Probably not that different than somebody that grew up in the early 1900s and saw the whole shift of automobiles, telephones, TVs, et cetera. But technology is always evolving, but it's not always accessible to everybody. And that's
Yeah.
my mission is to put
Mm-hmm.
simple, easy to use tools that people can master the results of the technologies to amplify their business success.
Well, thank you for that, Keith. So I'm just curious, what's something about human decision making that hasn't changed no matter how advanced our tools become?
Well, our neurobiology evolves slowly, and contrary to what most people think about making purchasing decisions, um, it's always done at the emotional level
Mm-hmm.
first,
Mm-hmm.
and that's usually an unconscious process. There's all sorts of input that get immediately picked up by our midbrain processed and make an emotional decision. And usually we're purchasing or pursuing anything to move away something that's uncomfortable, whether it's pain or suffering or just inconvenience, or we're moving toward something. We want to make it easier to harvest the food we eat, or you name it, as far as a human enterprise or tasks that we do. Um, and then we leverage the area of the brain that evolved much later in human evolution and rationalize with logic. And unfortunately, most people market with targeting the logic. This is who we
Mm-hmm.
are. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
These are the features, functions,
Mm-hmm.
and the buying brain, so to speak, just shuts that down. That they don't care.
Right.
It doesn't care. It's what's the pain point, or solution that you provide that overcomes a pain point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So interesting. I mean, like you know all the tools, and you said you have 100 plus tools. So interesting. And well, can you share a real story of a small business or entrepreneur who was struggling to grow, then applied neuroscience-driven AI, and suddenly saw a dramatic shift in engagement or sales?
Mhm. Well, the simplest one that I can share is when you have first contact with your audience, no matter where they are, whether that's in person or on the internet with a number of venues, is to always ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because our brains naturally want to find the answer to the question. A question always will trigger curiosity, um, even if the question doesn't immediately relate to me. I'm curious, what's the
Yeah.
answer?
Yes.
So if I'm providing maybe weight loss programs, it can be as simple as asking a question: Are you challenged with weight loss?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you present yourself as the solution to that pain point that's addressed in the question, because somebody's going to say yes to it in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
our 30-day 5-step program allows you to lose weight effectively.
Wow,
And
that's
then
true.
what the science shows is if you communicate in that way 3 to 5 times with a question that addresses a pain point, and then you're the solution um, 3 to 5 times, and however you're connecting with the audience, whether it's on a website or an ad or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you can yield an eightfold increase in conversions.
I think I'm going to use that technique,
Yeah.
Keith. It's
It's
it's so
simple
powerful,
to use.
simple. Yeah.
No technology required. Is
No.
how do I articulate my um, pain point that I address, the value that I provide in the form of a question.
Yeah.
And you want to keep it short. The working memory gets overloaded anywhere from 13
Mm-hmm.
to 15 words. So
Mm-hmm.
10 to 13 word questions are a good
Mm-hmm.
way to start. That question can be a subject line in an email. It could be the initial header on a website.
Mm.
Uh, all the different ways that we connect these days, that simple format is applicable. Another one that comes to mind about communicating is every generation has different terms and language that they use. The conversations in the Roaring Twenties are quite different
Different.
than modern times. So every
That's
generation
true.
has their
Yeah.
slang and different terms that use. So how that relates to a small business or an entrepreneur. One of my users of my platform is a copywriter,
Mm-hmm.
and she has had a client that was a hairstylist,
Oh,
and the stylist was complaining to the copywriter that she has a hard time getting younger generations into her salon,
salon.
um, because they speak a completely different language, the terms they use. And these days, there's a lot of shorthand and text messages
Mm-hmm.
that kind of end up in um, actual conversation.
Yeah.
So I said, well, there's a task that technology can accomplish. And I found some resources that had already collated all the different terms that different generations use. So I used that as a knowledge base, created a tool that I call GenSpeak
Gen
that you
speak.
you just choose from a drop down list what generation you want to target, whether it's boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever. Put
Mm-hmm.
in your text, and without overdoing it, it will just randomly throw in some of the terms where it makes sense in the messaging that you're sending out, uh, so that it makes it more relatable to your target audience. And she was thrilled pink because
Yeah.
without any effort, she could come up with, marketing messages that would
Specifically
connect
for
for a
for
generation. Yeah.
generation, definitely.
Yeah.
And so when you talk with entrepreneurs today, what's the biggest misunderstanding they have about marketing psychology or about AI? And how is
Uh,
that holding them back from scaling?
Okay, we'll hit the AI first. Unfortunately, the term AI, artificial intelligence, is not a very effective marketing term because it
Mm-hmm.
implies it's some sort of intelligence that's gonna, get out of control and cause harm or whatever. Um, it is basically very sophisticated algorithms that will
Mm-hmm.
predict what's next, whether that's the next word in a conversation or whatever, or how to transpose languages from French to English or English to Chinese or whatever. But there's no sentient intelligence there.
Mm-hmm.
And the most I guess, damaging myth that's out there is that somehow it's going to do harm to human. And
Oh
so,
yeah. Yeah, I
well,
hear that a lot.
if you know that there's a massive data center somewhere that involves acres of uh, cabinets of computers and hardware, um, it's not going to be sprouting any legs anytime soon and hunting down humans. Could the use of the technology um, be used for ill gain or harm? Yes, it could possibly used to develop hacking techniques and so forth, but all human technology, whether it was an initial blade that we made to cut food or hunt food with, humans have a rather tenacious creativity in taking anything that we developed and maybe misusing it.
Yeah.
So I tell
Yeah.
people to change the letters, reverse them, make it your
Mm-hmm.
IA, your intelligent assistant. You still need
Mm-hmm.
to use this amazing um, system between the ears, but it can be a great assistant for saving time, doing research that would maybe take me, um, marketing research, for example, that would take me days, weeks, or months,
Mm-hmm.
can be done in often minutes. Um, and It's great for summarizing information. I've done all this marketing research. Well, there's some papers that were scientific papers that I don't know all the geek speak involved. I can have AI summarize it in a few paragraphs and explain it to me like I was a 5-year old, if
Right.
I wanted to.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so,
Amazing.
so there's that disconnect right now. The same kind of aversion existed when certain technologies like telephones first came
Mm-hmm.
out, that
Mm-hmm.
you always have humans lagging a little bit with accepting and adapting technology. That's been throughout our history. And
True,
then
true.
the other one that's constant, I think, pretty much is um, not understanding how the human mind and the brain actually makes decisions, is specifically um, buying decisions, because there's some quirky things that we would do.
Mm-hmm.
We now know that if you leave off the dollar signs on your prices, that you can get up to a 30% increase in sales. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Technique is done on high-end restaurants, probably more than the everyday restaurants where you just see a number for the
Mm-hmm.
appetizer. It's priced at 7, or the entree at 27 or whatever. When the brain sees that dollar sign because it's associated with money that we had to put hard effort and time to uh, earn,
Mm-hmm.
that were rather protective. So, a simple technique like dropping the monetary symbol on a pricing could yield a
Make a
30%
big
increase
difference. Wow,
because,
30%
yeah,
increase. Wow.
because it just
So,
sees it as a number.
yeah, exactly. So, what signals tell you a business is ready to make the shift into this new approach?
Well, I think any business, no matter what discipline they're in, has to market. We have to persuade. Even if I'm wanting to convince my spouse to go to a certain restaurant on Friday
Yeah.
night date night, I'm
Mm-hmm.
persuading, I'm
Mm-hmm.
marketing. So the tools and techniques apply to any business. My goal and mission is to empower small businesses under 500 employees, entrepreneurs and solopreneurs with the tools and the techniques that big brands have used for decades. But because the little guys and gals don't have the budgets and the
Mm-hmm.
marketing teams, um, or the knowledge, they just haven't been exposed to them. They're at a slight disadvantage. And since they're the major employers in the United States, for example, um, serving them, empowering them is going to benefit their employees, their customers, et cetera. So that's my current mission is to provide low cost, economical, and effective marketing tools because they're based in the science,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then the technology just makes the content generation a breeze and at a lower cost.
Amazing. So, some people worry AI will replace creativity or even relationships. From your
Um,
perspective, how does neuroscience-based AI actually make businesses more human in the way they connect with customers?
well, at minimum, it frees up bandwidth and resources that would have gone into creating marketing content and frees up those resources and dollars and time to spend on the one-on-one relationships that are the ultimate best marketing tool that you have comes to mind.
Mhm, mhm. So, how should leaders think differently about technology if they want deeper trust with the audience?
Again, reversing those two letters when it comes to AI, make it your IA, your intelligent assistant.
Intelligence. I like that.
Intelligent assistant instead of your artificial intelligence, because ultimately it's just an assistant. It's no different than when calculators came along. We didn't
Hmm.
have to do math by hand or with a slide rule. Then that was replaced with spreadsheets,
Right.
et cetera. Um, we are quite good at creating tools for greater efficiencies. Um, the only thing that prevents us from using them is our own innate um, either fear or anxiety around
Yeah.
having to learn some of them. Um, because a few tools that you come across look like the cockpit of a 747. Look at the interface on any
Hmm.
modern software application, whether it be Photoshop or or a spreadsheet, whatever. When you first look at it, oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I have many decades in um, designing user interfaces and user usability. So the tools that I make are very straightforward and simple. Make a few selections, push a button, and you're there. So I've abstracted um, the technology layers where you don't need to have a marketing PhD or a engineering degree to use the tools.
Mhm. So, Keith, 5 years from now, what will the most successful entrepreneurs be doing differently because they understand the brain? And
Same
what's
as
one,
it's
and
same
what's
that it's
one, yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
same as it's always been, adapting and being open uh, to the changes. Because when we look at what has transpired just in the last 10 years or 5 years,
Mm.
um, I can share a personal story.
Yeah.
Back in 2010, I worked on a tech team that made a large knowledge management system for the U.S. Air Force, and everybody there was a few years younger than me, and they're pecking away on their cell phones as we came up the elevator back from lunch. And I said, imagine a world where there were no cell phones, no internet, and I
Mhm.
listed a bunch of technologies, and they just kind of looked at me cross-eyed. Well, it's always been that. Technology is constantly progressing, and the people that will be in the marketplace succeeding and flourishing are the ones that will appropriately adapt to whatever technology and market shifts are occurring.
Yeah.
We no longer deliver coal or milk door to door because
Mhm.
technologies change
Mhm.
and the way we do things change. So,
And so does milk bottles that are
yeah, and so,
delivered every morning, or the newspaper being thrown by the door by somebody riding the
right,
bicycle.
right, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's gone. It's
Yeah, the only
gone.
constant in life is change.
Yeah.
So being comfortable with that, um, you don't have to go from zero to hero in learning anything, whether it's technology or whatever change is coming along. A very successful approach that involves neuroscience is shrink to change small chunks and master them. We get dopamine hits when we accomplish something, especially something new that we haven't explored before. And dopamine is our a natural motivation neurotransmitter. So it motivates us to learn more, do more, etc. It's just that at first, all the change that comes at us might seem a little overwhelming. I think it
Hmm.
was Socrates was asked, um, how to get to Mount Olympus one time, and it may look like a Mount Olympus with what I have to accomplish to adapt to something new coming along. And his response was point yourself in that direction and take one step at a time.
That's amazing. I like that.
And that's how we accomplish anything new, learn anything new, adapt to anything new is we point it ourselves in a direction that we want to accomplish and take it one step at a time.
There you go. Keith, if the audience want to contact you, can you give out your contact details?
Certainly. I'm reached at email of CEO at Sawatch Solutions. That's SAWATCH Solutions, all one word, .com. You can Google my name. You'll find me at a number of different sites because I'm a um, bit of a multi-potentialite. I'm engaged in a lot of different activities, uh, and neuromarketing and integration of AI just happens to be one of them.
Hmm. So yeah, let's anyone there? Well, please. I mean, I was fascinated by Keith, and so I said, "Can I interview you in my YouTube talk show?" And he immediately said yes. So Keith, this has been an extraordinary conversation about insight, innovation, and leading with intelligence rather than noise. I learned something, intelligence assistant, so that we don't really get agitated. Oh my God, artificial intelligence. I
Yeah,
like,
we've seen too many gloom and doom movies
yes,
about starting probably with 2001 Space Odyssey, where Hal the computer
yeah,
kind of took over things. And we are a long way from having synthetic intelligence that can think the same way as humans, but that intelligent assistant can do a lot for us. The
yeah,
massive amount of human
right,
knowledge that has
right.
been developed, one human can't do it all, absorb it all. But the intelligent assistant can be quite useful at digesting it and putting it in chunks that I can understand.
I like that. And to our viewers, if today's episode reminded you that your message deserves to be understood, not just seen, then you're already stepping into the future of business communication. I'm Victoria Ferrer, personal power public presence coach and a financial educator. This has been Fulfillionaire's File. Thank you again, Keith, for joining us. And thank you to the audience. I'll see you next time as we continue spotlighting leaders who build wealth, wisdom, and legacy together. So, bye, everyone.
I
Bye.